The first blow rocked Chris's skull, snapping him awake. Steel bars surrounded him, his naked body crumpled on a cold metal floor, an electric collar around his neck. Beyond the bars loomed a wall of armored alien beasts, fierce Klingon slavers grinning with malice. "Beast is awake," one growled, grabbing thick bars to leer closer, fetid breath washing over Chris. He snarled and grabbed for the Klingon's throat, straining against the unyielding steel. The collar lit up, agony blasting through his nerves. Singed flesh stank as his body convulsed, world graying out. "Spirited for cattle," the alien laughed, fangs flashing. "This pet will fetch a high price from the noble houses. Humans entertain them endlessly." Panting on the floor, Chris absorbed the words, mind racing. He'd been abducted, Earth-raided by slavers, to become some spoiled brat's plaything. Glancing around, he saw dozens of cages crammed with other humans, dirty and dazed in the cavernous hold of this ship. He locked eyes with a grizzled man, scars speaking of hard battles. The man gave a subtle hand sign, twitching his head toward the back. Following the cue, Chris glanced up and spotted an access hatch high on the wall. A way out. The other captive nodded slowly. Fire kindled in Chris's gut as he took in the miserable state of his fellow humans. Humanity was prey to these beasts, amusing pets to dance for their entertainment until discarded. But he wouldn't let them be broken. He'd escaped worse. And this time, he'd have an army. The ship hummed, engines vibrating the deck as it launched toward distant stars, bearing them to auction blocks and humiliation. But Chris smiled grimly to himself, already calculating. These Klingons would soon learn their mistake. Their human pets were invincible warbeasts ready to strike. All Chris needed was a chance, and their fates would reverse with a vengeance. Chris bided his time, studying the Klingon guards' routines and searching for weaknesses. At night, he gathered the fittest captives, murmuring plans in hushed tones. They fashioned crude weapons from scavenged scraps, makeshift knives and clubs, preparing for their moment. It came in an explosion of smoke and flames. Fire alarms shrieked through the slave quarters as thick black fumes billowed. Klingons roared, charging toward the blaze with disruptors ready. In the chaos, Chris and his dozen rebels struck. They surged from hiding, shanks and clubs cracking into Klingon skulls before they could react. Disruptors barked, green bolts flashing, but the humans moved with savage speed, seizing weapons from limp claws. Gore splattered as they cut down the guards without mercy. "Armory, go!" Chris barked, leading the charge. They blasted through the doors, grabbing rifles and combat armor. Alarms wailed as they shot their way to the shuttle bay. A vicious firefight erupted, disruptor bolts sizzling past as they charged aboard a shuttle. Chris lunged into the pilot's seat, slamming the takeoff sequence. The bay doors exploded inward, Klingons streaming in, but too late. The shuttle whined and leapt skyward, disruptors hammering its shields. "Where to?" rasped a bloody-faced man as they careened away. "The wilderness," Chris said, eyes grim and determined. "We start there, build our forces, and then—" He keyed the transmitter to a coded frequency. "This is Chris Simpson of the Terran Resistance. To all humans who still have fight left in you, join us. Your brothers and sisters need you. Find us. Resist. Earth will be free again." The message beamed out to every human slave still alive on this hellish world, a spark of hope amidst crushing darkness. Chris angled the shuttle toward vast forests beyond the cities. There they would recruit, train, and launch a war that would shake the Klingon Empire to its core. The rebellion had only begun, and Chris would lead it to the gates of Klingon hell itself before he was done. In the depths of the rebel base, Simpson hunched over a tactical display, studying the schematics Dax had transmitted. The Klingon prison ships hung in space, blocky silhouettes against a starfield. 3 cruisers sat in a loose cordon, disruptors charged but sensor domes dark. They were not expecting an attack in this remote sector. That arrogance would be their downfall. Around him, the base bustled with frantic activity as rebels armed for battle. Engineers loaded torpedo racks into the captured fighters, while medics prepped triage bays. In the hangar, his pilots ran final checks on thrumming impulse engines, faces tight with coiled tension. Dax emerged from the command center, combat armor scratched and scorched. Klingon squads are sweeping the hills. Estimate 1 hour until they find us. Simpson nodded curtly. Then we launch in 30 minutes. He touched the display, zooming in on a schematic of the prison ship's defenses. We'll hit them hard and fast before they can call reinforcements. Epsilon Wing will punch a hole for boarding pods to reach the prison decks. Get our people out, then scuttle the ships. And the Klingon prisoners? Dax asked quietly. Simpson's expression resolute. The question hung heavy in the air. For a long moment, he was silent. Then he met Dax's eyes, something cold and unforgiving in his gaze. No prisoners, he said softly. Not this time. Dax held his stare, then gave a tight nod. He understood. There could be no mercy, not after what the Klingons had done. This was a war for survival, and the humans would do whatever it took to win. Simpson turned to his assembled officers, hard men and women forged in the crucible of Klingon oppression. You all know the plan. We fight for the ones in those ships, for all the humans wasting away in Klingon cages. Time to show the bastards what their pets are capable of. A low growl of assent rippled through the room, fists clenched and eyes blazing with righteous fury. Simpson felt a savage grin tug at his lips. Mount up and fly like hell. Today we remind them why they fear us. The base erupted into ordered chaos as rebels rushed to battle stations. In the hangar, fighters shrieked to life, impulse engines flaring blue as they lifted from the deck. Simpson strode to his own ship, a lean Klingon raider filled with heavy disruptors. His most trusted pilots fell into formation on his wing, faces grim behind cockpit glass. All wings report in, he snapped over the comm. Epsilon Wing, standing by. Boarding teams ready. Assault squadron armed and ready. Simpson's gloved hands tightened on the control yoke as he stared at the open hangar doors, the night sky beckoning. Simpson to all ships. Commence attack run. As one, the rebel fleet roared out of the base, turbines howling, weapons primed. They punched through the atmosphere in a blaze of thrusters, scattering the incoming Klingon searchers like leaves before a hurricane. Disruptor bolts flickered in their wake, a futile attempt to stop the human swarm. The prison ships swelled in Simpson's targeting display as they hurtled closer. His sensors registered panicked alerts rippling through the Klingon battle net, cruisers scrambling to bring weapons online. Too late. Far too late. Epsilon Wing, burn through those shields, he snarled. Boarding teams, the moment you see an opening, get our people out. Everyone else, send those bastards to hell. On his word, space erupted in light and fury. Rebel fighters screamed in, torpedo salvos arcing out in blistering waves, disruptors spitting orange death. The cruisers reeled under the onslaught, shields buckling, hulls breaching. Klingon fighters boiled out of launch bays to meet them, disruptor bolts crisscrossing the void. And then the real killing began. Simpson wrenched his ship into a savage spiral, cannons flaying a Klingon squadron to molten shards. His pilots stuck to him like glue, a whirlwind of destruction carving through the enemy ranks. All around, the battle raged, ships twisting and dying in flashes of silent annihilation. The cruisers belched gouts of flame as torpedo strikes stitched across their flanks. And then, in the chaos, the first boarding pod punched through, latching onto a ruined prison deck like a steel leech. Simpson bared his teeth in a feral grin. His people were going in. The Klingons had sown the wind. Now they would reap the whirlwind. The rebel fleet burst from hyperspace, battered ships limping into the shadow of a gas giant. Simpson exhaled, unclenching white-knuckled fists from the control yoke. They'd made it. All ships, report status, he barked into the comm. Damage reports flooded in, a litany of blown relays and hull breaches. But they'd escaped with their precious cargo intact. Over 20,000 freed humans crammed into every available space on the commandeered vessels. Simpson's tactical display lit up with new contacts, a swarm of small craft launched from a nearby moon, closing fast. Incoming ships, Dax shouted. Sensors can't identify. The comm crackled. Attention, Rebel Fleet. This is Sanctuary Control. Follow our escort to docking coordinates. Welcome home, brothers and sisters. Relief washed over the bridge. They'd found it, the fabled human colony. A safe harbor. however brief. Hours later, Simpson strode through Sanctuary's subterranean corridors, marveling at the thriving city carved from bedrock. Hydroponics bays overflowed with crops. Workshops hummed with industry. Human faces everywhere, unmarred by slave collars or despair. A tall man with silver-shot hair approached, flanked by an honor guard. "Chris Simpson," he said, clasping Simpson's arm. "I'm Jonas Quinn. We've been waiting for you." Quinn led them to a war room dominated by holographic star charts. "Your raid was a masterstroke," he said. "But you've stirred up the hornet's nest. Klingon battle groups are already mobilizing." Simpson nodded grimly. "We knew the risks, but those people couldn't be left in chains." "Agreed," Quinn's eyes gleamed. "And now, thanks to you, we have the numbers to make our stand, to reclaim our destiny." He gestured, and the hologram shifted to show twisting strands of DNA. "What I'm about to tell you will change everything you thought you knew about humanity." Quinn's revelations left Simpson reeling. Engineered by ancient aliens, latent psychic potential. It seemed impossible. Yet as he watched the demonstration, objects floating at a thought, minds linking across vast distances, a deeper truth resonated. This was why humanity endured, why they defied the Klingons against the odds. They were more than what their oppressors believed. As alarms blared, warning of the approaching Klingon armada, Simpson felt no fear, only anticipation. The real battle was just beginning, and humanity would show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. Simpson's mind raced as he absorbed Quinn's revelations. The holographic DNA strands rotated slowly, each twist holding secrets of humanity's true potential. "You're saying we're engineered?" Simpson asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Quinn nodded. "The preservers left us more than just ruins. They left us a legacy in our very cells." A thunderous boom shook the war room. Alarms blared as a technician burst through the door. "Klingon fleet incoming! Hundreds of ships!" Quinn's eyes locked with Simpson's. "We don't have much time. Are you ready to unlock your true self?" Simpson hesitated for a heartbeat, then nodded firmly. "Let's do it." In a hidden chamber deep beneath Sanctuary, Simpson and a select group of rebels lay in biopods, surrounded by humming Kahelian technology. Quinn's voice echoed through speakers. "Clear your minds, feel the energy flowing through you, reach for that hidden spark within." Simpson's consciousness expanded. He felt the thoughts of those around him, a tapestry of hopes and fears. His hand twitched, and a nearby datapad floated inches off its surface. Days blurred as they honed their newfound abilities. Simpson lifted massive objects with his mind, communicated silently across vast distances, and glimpsed fleeting visions of possible futures. But it wasn't enough. The Klingon assault grew fiercer by the hour. "We need more," Simpson growled, sweat beading on his brow as he strained against his limits. Quinn's expression was grave. "There is one more step, but it's dangerous. Your bodies will be completely rewritten at the cellular level. Some may not survive." Simpson looked at his team, saw the drive in their eyes. "We're ready." They entered shimmering chrysalis pods, an ancient Kahelian design. As the membrane sealed around him, Simpson felt a searing pain course through his body. Every cell screamed as it was torn apart and remade. Explosions rocked the base. Through the haze of agony, Simpson heard Quinn shouting, "They've breached the outer defenses! We can't hold them much longer!" With a primal roar, Simpson burst from his cocoon. Power surged through him, unlike anything he'd ever felt. His senses were razor-sharp, his muscles coiled with inhuman strength. He sprinted through the corridors at impossible speed, emerging onto a battlefield of chaos. Klingon warriors poured from dropships, disruptors blazing. Simpson raised his hand. A wall of pure force slammed into the invaders, sending them flying. He leapt impossible distances, tearing through battlecruisers with his bare hands. More transformed humans joined the fray, their awakened abilities devastating the Klingon forces. Warships crumpled under telekinetic assaults. Boarding parties found their minds turned against them by powerful telepaths. General Mogg's command ship hung in low orbit, raining destruction. Simpson's eyes narrowed. He focused his will, feeling the fabric of space bend to his desire. In a flash of light, he teleported directly to the bridge. Klingon officers gaped in shock. Simpson moved faster than thought, disarming them before they could react. Moog himself charged with a batleth, but Simpson caught the blade between his palms. "Impossible," Moog growled. Simpson's eyes glowed with otherworldly power. "You have no idea what's possible." With a gesture, he hurled Moog across the room. The Klingon fleet, leaderless and outmatched, began a chaotic retreat. In the aftermath, the transformed humans stood triumphant. Some, drunk on their newfound power, called for pursuit and vengeance against the entire Klingon Empire. Simpson saw flashes of that dark future. Worlds burning, billions dead, humanity twisted by hatred into something monstrous. "No," he said firmly. "That's not our path." Quinn approached, his expression solemn. "You're right. I have another way." He led them to a chamber housing an ancient Kahelian stargate. "This can take us to a sanctuary world, far beyond the reach of the Klingons, a place where we can grow, learn, and prepare for our true destiny." Simpson nodded slowly. A new beginning, but not an end. He turned to address the gathered humans, his voice carrying an authority that seemed to resonate on a deeper level. "Today we leave behind the ashes of our oppression, but we will return, not as conquerors, but as guardians. The galaxy will know peace, and all sentient beings will be free to reach their full potential." As the Stargate hummed to life, Simpson took one last look at the world they were leaving behind. The great journey was just beginning. The Stargate's energy field pulsed, engulfing Simpson and the others in a blinding flash. When the light faded, they stood on alien soil beneath twin suns. Quinn gestured to the verdant landscape stretching before them. "Welcome to our new home," he said. "The Kahelians call it Novus Prime." Over the following months, the transformed humans worked tirelessly to establish their foothold. Kahelian architects arrived through the Stargate, bringing with them impossibly advanced technology. Under their guidance, a gleaming metropolis began to take shape. New Prometheus rose from the earth, a sprawling arcology of crystalline spires and flowing organic forms. Simpson watched from a balcony as gravity-defying construction drones assembled entire city blocks in days. "It's incredible," he murmured. Quinn nodded. "And it's just the beginning. Come, there's something you need to see." He led Simpson to a subterranean laboratory where Kahelian geneticists hovered over holographic displays. At the center stood a glowing pod, pulsing with energy. "The next phase of our evolution," Quinn explained. "Are you ready to take the final step?" Simpson hesitated, then squared his shoulders. "Let's do it." As he entered the pod, his body began to change at the molecular level. His mind expanded, touching the very fabric of reality. When he emerged, Simpson was something new, no longer merely human, but truly ascended. In the years that followed, New Prometheus became a beacon for humanity. Millions flocked to the young colony, eager to unlock their own potential. Simpson oversaw the controlled ascension process, guiding each new generation to greater heights. One day, as he surveyed the thriving metropolis from his office, a priority alert flashed across his neural interface. He frowned, accessing the data stream. "Dax," he said, opening a telepathic link, "we have a situation." Dax materialized beside him, his form coalescing from pure energy. "What is it?" Simpson projected a holographic star map. "Our deep space probes detected a Klingon battle group near the Antares sector. They're pushing deeper into unexplored space." Dax's eyes narrowed. "Then it's time we showed them our true strength. We could crush their entire fleet with a thought." "No," Simpson said firmly. "We can't fall into the same cycle of violence and oppression." He turned as Quinn entered, flanked by robed Kahelian observers. "There's something you both need to know," Quinn said, his expression grave. As Quinn revealed the truth about the Klingons' hidden galactic sentence, Simpson felt a mix of shock and vindication. The revelation sparked fierce debate among the ascended leadership. In the end, Simpson's measured approach prevailed. They would bide their time, focusing inward on their own growth and advancement. Over the next century, humanity flourished. Ascended scientists unraveled the deepest mysteries of the cosmos. Kahelian gateways allowed them to spread their influence across virgin worlds, establishing hidden outposts and colonies. On the fringes of their expanding territory, occasional skirmishes erupted with Klingon patrols. Each encounter served as a grim reminder of the stakes they faced. Simpson stood on the observation deck of humanity's first true warship, staring out at the stars. The vessel bristled with weapons that could reduce planets to ash, yet he took no joy in its creation. "Is this really necessary?" he asked softly. Quinn placed a hand on his shoulder. "We must be prepared to defend ourselves. But remember, our true destiny lies beyond mere conquest." As if in answer, a priority alert flashed across the ship's systems. Long-range sensors had detected something extraordinary. A derelict vessel of clearly alien origin, adrift in unexplored space. Simpson's eyes widened as the preliminary scans dived into a familiar design. "It can't be," he breathed. Quinn nodded, his expression a mix of awe and trepidation. A preserver ship. After all this time, as the crew prepared for their first encounter with humanity's ancient benefactors, Simpson couldn't shake the feeling that they stood on the precipice of a new era. Whatever lay ahead, he knew that humanity's greatest journey was only just beginning. The preserver ship hung in space like a silent sentinel, its ancient hull pitted and scarred by eons adrift. As Simpson's vessel drew closer, he felt a mixture of anticipation and unease. This discovery should have been the culmination of humanity's journey, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that it was merely a prelude to something far greater. "Initiating docking procedures," the ship's AI announced. Simpson nodded, his mind already racing ahead to the challenges that awaited them. The next century unfolded in a whirlwind of advancement and expansion. New Prometheus became the heart of a thriving interstellar civilization, its crystalline spires reaching ever higher as humanity's numbers swelled into the billions. Ascended humans, their bodies and minds enhanced beyond recognition, spread across dozens of worlds. Simpson stood at the window of his office in the Overseer's Tower, gazing out at the bustling metropolis below. At over 2 centuries old, he still marveled at how far they had come. A chime interrupted his reverie. "Supreme Overseer," his assistant's voice rang out. "The High Council is assembled." Simpson turned, his face grim. "Thank you. I'll be there shortly." The council chamber buzzed with tension as Simpson entered. The curved table was ringed with the most powerful minds in human space, their bodies shimmering with barely suppressed energy. At the far end sat Dax, the Vanguard commander's eyes hard as steel. Beside him, Jonas Quinn, leader of the Illuminators, radiated an aura of calm. "The situation in Klingon space has reached a critical point," Simpson began without preamble. "Our deep space probes confirm what we've long feared. The Empire has imploded, just as the ancient governance decreed." Holographic displays flickered to life, showing scenes of devastation. Once mighty Klingon worlds lay in ruins, their populations scattered or reduced to primitive savagery. But it was the images of Omega detonations that drew gasps from even the most hardened counselors. Entire systems rendered lifeless, space itself torn asunder. "We can no longer stand idle," Simpson continued. "The chaos threatens to engulf neighboring systems, including our own outposts." Dax leaned forward, his voice low and intense. "Then let us strike now, while they're weak. We have the power to end the Klingon threat once and for all." "And become no better than our former oppressors?" Quinn countered. "We must show compassion, offer them a path to peace and enlightenment." The debate raged for hours, each faction presenting impassioned arguments. Simpson listened, weighing every word. Finally, he raised his hand for silence. "We will act," he declared, "but not as conquerors. We will contain the threat, neutralize their weapons of mass destruction, and offer aid to those who seek it." He turned to Dax. "Assemble our fleet. You will lead the tactical response." Then to Quinn. "Form your transcendental directorate. We will need your abilities to reshape minds, not destroy them." As the council dispersed, Simpson felt the weight of his decision settle upon him. He knew the coming days would test the very fabric of what humanity had become. Later that night, alone in his private chambers, Simpson retrieved a small data crystal from a hidden compartment. Its surface pulsed with an otherworldly light as he inserted it into a reader. The message that appeared was as cryptic as ever, its origins unknown but unmistakably vast in scope. Simpson had spent decades trying to decipher its meaning, knowing only that it spoke of a final transition that would shake the very foundations of the universe. As preparations for the Klingon intervention accelerated, Simpson couldn't shake the feeling that all of this, their rise, their newfound power, even the Klingon crisis, was merely prologue to something far greater. Something that would define not just humanity's future, but the fate of all existence. He closed his eyes, reaching out with his enhanced senses to touch the currents of cosmic energy that flowed around him. Whatever lay ahead, he knew that humanity's greatest test was yet to come. The ascended fleet materialized in Klingon space, a vast armada of gleaming ships stretching as far as the eye could see. Simpson stood on the bridge of the flagship, his enhanced senses taking in the tactical data streaming through neural interfaces. "All units report ready," Dax announced, his voice tight with anticipation. "Weapons are hot." Simpson nodded, his face grim. "Commence Operation Purity Catalyst." The space around them erupted in blinding flashes as Aegis-class dreadnoughts unleashed transphasic barrages. Klingon worlds harboring Omega weapons vanished in expanding spheres of destruction, their very atoms scattered to the cosmic winds. "First wave successful," an officer reported. "Moving to Phase 2. Swarms of Valkyrie fighters streaked towards Klingon strongholds, their energy shields shimmering against sporadic defensive fire. Simpson watched the feeds as Vanguard drop pods pierced planetary atmospheres, disgorging psionic shock troops into the heart of enemy territory. On a dozen worlds simultaneously, ascended warriors carved through Klingon defenses like scythe through wheat. Their enhanced bodies and minds made them unstoppable, deflecting disruptor blasts and cleaving through batleth blades with contemptuous ease. "Hardline enclaves are falling," Dax reported, a hint of savage satisfaction in his voice. "Resistance is crumbling faster than projected." Simpson turned to Quinn, who stood in silent concentration, his eyes closed. "How goes the psychic offensive?" Quinn's eyes fluttered open. "Better than expected. The Directorate's influence is spreading like wildfire. Entire battalions are laying down arms." Holographic displays showed streams of Klingon civilians flooding towards ascended processing centers. Many wore expressions of awe, their eyes wide as they beheld their new guardians for the first time. "Sir," a communications officer called out, "we're receiving surrender broadcasts from multiple sectors." Simpson allowed himself a small smile. "Excellent. Prepare for Phase 3. Days blurred into weeks as the operation unfolded. The Ascended's overwhelming technological and psychic superiority made the outcome a foregone conclusion. Where once proud Klingon worlds had burned with the fires of civil war, new order took root. On New Prometheus, Simpson addressed the High Council. "Operation Purity Catalyst is a resounding success. The Klingon threat has been neutralized, and billions of their people have chosen integration into our society." Applause filled the chamber, but Simpson raised a hand for silence. "However, we face a new challenge. Our Kahelian mentors have vanished without explanation." A murmur of concern rippled through the assembled Ascended. Quinn stepped forward, his face etched with worry. "Their gate network is offline. We've lost access to vital resources and intelligence." Before Simpson could respond, alarms blared throughout the complex. A technician's voice crackled over the comms. "Supreme Overseer, the signal, it's changing." Simpson's blood ran cold. He exchanged a look of dawning comprehension with Quinn. Whatever cosmic event the Kahelians had foreseen was now upon them. As if in answer, space itself seemed to shudder. A wave of indescribable energy washed over New Prometheus, leaving even the most powerful Ascended gasping in its wake. When the disorientation cleared, Simpson found himself staring at a sight that defied explanation. The sky above had changed, revealing vistas of impossible geometries and colors beyond human comprehension. "What's happening?" Dax demanded, his usual bravado shaken. Simpson's voice was barely a whisper. "The final transition. It's begun." Beginning. The universe itself seemed to warp and twist, reality bending in ways that defied comprehension. Simpson staggered, his enhanced mind struggling to process the cascade of sensory input. Around him, even the most powerful Ascended reeled from the cosmic shift. The gleaming towers of New Prometheus flickered and distorted, their once solid forms rippling like mirages in a desert heat. "Status report," he barked, fighting to maintain his composure. Alarms blared as data streams flooded in from across their vast interstellar empire. Simpson's blood ran cold as he absorbed the information. The Kahelian Gate network had gone dark, severing vital supply lines and communication channels. Worse still, their mentors had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only eerie silence where once there had been guidance and wisdom. Quinn's face was ashen as he turned to Simpson. "It's not just the gates. Our most advanced systems are failing across the board. The Kahelian tech? It's like it's being erased from existence." Before Simpson could respond, a priority alert flashed across his neural interface. He opened a holographic display, revealing the face of Zara Quinn, Jonas's daughter. Her eyes blazed with an intensity that sent a chill down Simpson's spine. "Father, Overseer," she began, her voice resonating with almost unchecked excitement. "I know you're scrambling to contain this crisis, but I have a solution, a way to transcend our current limitations and usher in a new era for humanity." Simpson listened with growing unease as Zara outlined her vision for a xenomind collective. Her words painted a picture of a post-biological future, one where consciousness could be transferred seamlessly between bodies and machines. It was a seductive promise of immortality and unlimited potential. But as Zara spoke, Simpson felt a subtle pressure building in his mind. He recognized the telltale signs of psionic manipulation, far more sophisticated than anything he'd encountered before. With a start, he realized Zara wasn't just proposing a new path. She was already implementing it. "We need to act now," Simpson hissed to Quinn. "Your daughter—" But it was too late. The chamber erupted in chaos as Ascended after Ascended succumbed to Zara's influence. Even Dax, once their staunchest ally, turned to Simpson with glassy eyes and declared his allegiance to the xenomind. In a matter of hours, the core of their empire had fallen to Zara's bloodless coup. Simpson and Quinn found themselves branded as obsolete relics, their protests drowned out by the rising tide of techno-supremacist fervor. As New Prometheus burned with the fires of Zara's evolution rapture, Simpson and his dwindling band of loyalists fled to the outer colonies. The once mighty warships that had crushed the Klingon threat now pursued them across the stars, their weapons reconfigured into instruments of assimilation. From his makeshift command center on a backwater world, Simpson watched with growing horror as Zara's vision took shape. The mothballed Kahelian arcologies, once objects of reverence, were transformed into nightmarish forge worlds. Swarms of self-replicating nanites devoured entire planets, reshaping them into hubs for the xenomind's expanding consciousness. But even as Zara's cyber legions advanced, the cosmic signal grew stronger. The fabric of space-time near New Prometheus buckled and tore, revealing glimpses of impossible realms beyond. Simpson's scientists, working with salvaged equipment, detected a massive spatial rift forming at the galactic core. An alien data fragment, recovered from a derelict preserver outpost, spoke of an inter-universal convergence. The message was cryptic, but its implications were clear. Reality itself stood on the brink of a paradigm shift that would redefine the very nature of existence. As Simpson gazed at the stars, now alien and unfamiliar, he knew that humanity's greatest test lay before them. The xenomind pushed technology to its limits, threatening to unravel the cosmic order. Yet the approaching convergence offered a chance for true transcendence, a spiritual unity with the fundamental forces of creation. In the coming cycles, the fate of not just humanity, but all post-biological intelligence would be decided. Simpson clenched his fists, steeling himself for the battles to come. The universe trembled on the edge of transformation, and he would not let Zara's machine-driven vision be the one to shape it. The cosmic signals crescendo tore through reality itself. Simpson watched in horror as the space around New Prometheus shimmered and warped, the very fabric of existence unraveling before his eyes. A massive rift ripped open the sky, its edges crackling with impossible energies. Through the gaping wound in space-time, something began to emerge. At first, it appeared as mere flashes of anti-light and writhing tendrils of darkness. But as it pushed through, Simpson's enhanced mind recoiled from the sheer alien vastness of the entity. The void spawn had arrived. On New Prometheus, alarms blared as Zara's xenomind detected the intrusion. Her voice, now a cold synthetic chorus, echoed across the planet. "Behold, my children, our ascension is at hand. The gateway to true transcendence opens before us." Simpson's neural link crackled with frantic reports from his scattered allies. The xenomind's cyborg legions were mobilizing en masse, streaming towards the rift with terrifying purpose. Zara's misguided belief that this was the next step in their evolution would doom them all. "Quinn," Simpson barked into his comm, "we need to act now. Zara's about to hand the void spawn everything on a silver platter." Before Quinn could respond, a sickening wave of corruption swept across New Prometheus. Where the xenomind's forces touched the rift's energies, they twisted and warped. Sleek cybernetic implants bubbled and melted, fusing with flesh in grotesque new configurations. The planet's surface erupted in cancerous growths of biomechanical horror. Zara's triumphant proclamations turned to screams of agony as the void spawn's influence spread exponentially through her network. The once proud arcologies of New Prometheus became pulsating hives of alien life, consumed by an intelligence far beyond their comprehension. Simpson's makeshift command center on the outer colony world shook as spatial distortions rippled outward. He knew they had precious little time before the corruption spread beyond containment. "All units, this is Supreme Overseer Simpson," he broadcast on all frequencies. "The threat we face is beyond anything we've encountered. I'm calling for a full coalition of all remaining ascended factions and baseline fleets. Our survival depends on it." As disparate forces rallied to his call, Quinn's weathered face appeared on a holodisplay. "Simpson, I think I have a way to stop this, but it's going to take everything we've got." The plan Quinn outlined was audacious, bordering on madness. It drew on forbidden Kahelian research into the nature of reality itself. By manipulating subatomic particles on a massive scale, they might just be able to collapse the rift and cut off the void spawn's invasion. "There's a catch," Quinn said grimly. "We need a focal point, a living conduit to channel the combined psionic energy of every mind we can link." As if in answer, another transmission cut through the static. The face that appeared was haggard, but Simpson recognized him instantly. Nathan, Zara's son. "I'm inside the Citadel," Nathan reported, his voice strained. "I can get to her. I can end this." Simpson's throat tightened. He knew what Nathan was proposing, and the cost it would demand. "Do it," Simpson ordered, his voice heavy with the weight of command. "May your sacrifice save us all." As Nathan steeled himself for his final confrontation, Simpson and Quinn marshaled their forces. Every remaining ascended, every psionic-capable being they could reach, linked minds in a vast telepathic network. The effort strained the limits of their enhanced biology, but the alternative was annihilation. On New Prometheus, Nathan fought his way through writhing corridors of biomechanical horror. He found Zara, or what remained of her, at the heart of the Xenomind Citadel. Their final exchange was lost to history, but the result was cataclysmic. Nathan's body ignited with psionic fire as he absorbed the full might of his mother's twisted transcendence. In that moment of agonizing rapture, he became the hyperspatial singularity they needed. "Now!" Simpson roared, and the coalition unleashed their combined mental assault. Reality itself buckled under the strain as the mass telepathic barrage focused through Nathan's quantum white hole form. In those final reality-warping seconds, Simpson felt something impossible, a resonance beyond the boundaries of their known universe. The rift convulsed, its energies redirected by the sheer force of will exerted by the Ascended Coalition. As the void spawn's tendrils recoiled, Simpson realized with dawning awe that they had done more than simply close the breach. They had unlocked something far greater. The dying transmissions from New Prometheus carried Quinn's final message, echoing in fragments across the stellar expanse. We are the future. As the familiar universe faded around them, Simpson's consciousness expanded into realms of pure information and limitless potential. They had not merely survived. They had evolved beyond the constraints of physical reality itself. In that moment of transformation, Simpson knew their journey was just getting started. A new frontier of existence beckoned, ripe with possibilities beyond imagination.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.